Track Guide, Auto Club Speedway. This will be the final race of the season for Scars, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to label this as a B fixed Track Guide, but honestly, I couldn't tell you when the official schedule even goes here. So, some stuff may change by the time this is relevant for B fixed, but for the time being, this is accurate. This track was one of the ones that got updated with the quote-unquote multi-groove racing several months ago when they did a big update. Pretty fun to drive at. I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. I don't know if I'm even good at this track. I can get around it. I have done a handful of races here. I don't recall it being one of my favorite tracks, which you probably don't hear me say too often. But anyways, I'm doing this video for you. So full disclaimer right now, when I did load up the setup, it did fail the garage test or whatever. There is like track arm preset or something like that. I had to adjust down one click, I think, to make it pass, and then click apply and it passed. So it didn't seem like it changed the setup at all. It was comfortable to drive, yada, yada, yada. But when you load it up, you may have to do that. And we may have to do that when we actually host this session here in a month or whatever when we run here. But anyways, I'm going to try and be fairly quick. I know I'm already a minute and a half in. I keep a clock running now, so I kind of keep track. So I'm going to do a lap, kind of slower, showing you where I brake, turn in, yada, yada, yada. Let a few more laps play out. I'm going to go further into the video and try and run a variety of lines. And then a pit entry. At the very end of it is the 20-lap run. This one I actually complete 20 laps and come into complete lap 21. I come in pit. Did that on the fly. Don't know if it's fast again. And then I'll show you my tire wear at the end. Without further ado, and just before this starts, I don't recall any issues with this setup. It seemed pretty comfortable. It may be a little bit loose on cold tires, so just take it pretty easy the first couple laps, but once the tires get heated, it's fine. So come to the finish line, you're going to see people running anywhere from the apron down here, this colored, the red, white, and blue part here on the apron, all the way up to the wall. And really, you can go wherever you want to. I think it's a little bit, you shave a couple hundreds if you dip down to the bottom line, but if there's a train like you see in real life NASCAR races, the high groove, you're going to want to stay in that train because the draft is going to more than make up for running down here. Just a little tidbit. So we're entering turn 1. You have a 3, a stoplight, a 2, somewhere up there is a 1. You don't really need to worry about the 1 if you're turning it into 1 and breaking it to 1. It's probably a little bit too late. I don't know. You're going to have to experiment with it a little bit. You don't want to drive too far into the corner and not be able to get a turn. You're going to burn up the right front. But you definitely, I think 3 is way too early. I think I found my comfort spot to be like 2 sign on the wall, or maybe the stoplight as you go further into the run. Being the Xfinity car, carrying the speed off the corner is more important. You definitely don't want to get to the bottom too early. I'd say it's a little bit of a later apex. So you're kind of going to enter and then you're going to slowly work your way down to the apex a little bit later in the corner before you exit out towards the wall. This lap, I just passed the 2 sign. Okay, yeah, so as I'm passing the 2 sign, off the throttle, a little bit of fairly light brake, probably 20-25% somewhere in there, and then trail off of it. So in the testing I've done, I think the preferred groove, and I don't know in what order you're watching these videos, but I literally just recorded the Homestead one. This one seems to be fairly similar. You can go, there is some grip all the way down here, but it seems like the optimal grip's kind of this first main seam here, from what I discovered. I was still kind of tinkering with it. But you can see 60% throttle for a lot of the corner, and then I'm easing back into it a little bit, kind of up and down a little bit before I fully commit and exit all the way out to the wall. This race is also at night, so tire wear is not as significant. I'll touch on that at the end, though. Same thing entering turn 3. 3, stoplight 2, and there's a 1 somewhere up there. Don't even worry about that. If I'm not mistaken, I think the 2's what I found to be my comfort spot for both corners. All right, so I was a little bit earlier there. So I'm already braking as I'm coming up to the 2. But you're going to have to play with that a little bit. Again, I bring it down lower and then run all the way out to the wall. I think I end up actually with a 0 exit, the slightest tap in the world on the wall. Let's let a couple more laps play through here. I'm not sure how early in this I experiment with the... so you can see how I'm waiting a little bit later to get to that apex. So I ran what I think is a little bit of a better line on the second lap for just pure optimal speed when you're running by yourself, obviously. Traffic, maybe you can get over there's not cars. I still bring it a little bit lower here. I'm going to say don't put too much focus in actual lap times. There's a lot of variables that go into that: track state, track temperature, this, that, and the other. So don't really worry too much about comparing your lap time to what mine is. But I did run about 700ths faster on that second lap. And I just think just running that more optimal line. I run some pretty crappy laps here, so we're just going to skip those. We're going to do the first 2, and then somewhere in here, I think I did it lap 23. Now, this is getting later into the run. You can see I ran just, call it 42 flat, and then as we're getting later into the run, there's not a huge amount of fall off from what I would have expected. I mean, I'm within a second at the end of the run. Lap 23 here. Let's see what... I think this is where I kind of run 4 consecutive laps running completely different lines just to see how it... what ends up being the fastest. If I'm not mistaken, I go low, middle, high. So, wide entry into the corner. And I'm cutting it all the way down. Close to that white line, not quite to it. All the way back out to the wall. Still that 2 again. Getting down close to that white line. I actually touch it there. And all the way out to the wall. And then solo, just cutting that a little bit extra down, gets you a few hundreds, but you want to get all the way out on your entries. And I think I run this first groove here. For reference, I think one of these grooves kind of disappears as you're in the middle of the turn. But I'm going to call this one the first groove. I got my lefts a little bit lower than the that groove there in 3 and 4. Kind of run middle of the track here. And then the high groove here. So using this dark line, which is the 3rd one up, I don't think using this second one is very viable. Similar to Homestead, it seems like all the grips either at the bottom or the top. And the top, you're slower on the entry of the turns, but the benefit of running it is you're able to carry more speed off. So you can use it to be a defensive line. to hold somebody off. Obviously, they could throw a slide job on you. Give Eddie a chance to yell slide job. But you may also be able to use it to set up a pass. Anyways. So putting your left sides right on that groove. You gotta be, obviously, careful because you just have a smaller area that you're contained within before you get out to the wall. But I wouldn't run this super high. That's just crazy. You'd be a lunatic if you wanted to try and run that with any consistency. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I go and run the very bottom here. Yeah, very bottom. So bottom I ran to 713, second lap I ran to 807, then I ran to 846 in the high groove, and then I actually ran a 634 this lap, which is the fastest of those 4 laps. The bottom, like I said, I think is the fastest. The middle, that, what I'll call the middle, really that first seam, was fairly quick. But they're all viable, they're all safe, you're going to be able to hold it out of the wall. But if you're talking about pure speed, I think ultimately that bottom groove is probably the fastest one if you don't have traffic and you're by yourself. Let's look at my pit entry. That's always fun. Green flag pit stops don't happen every race, but when they do, they can be terrifying. So I look for billboards and I look for banners on walls or stuff unique on the wall. That's the reference points I use. Turns here are freaking forever, it seems. I think the start of this last banner on the wall here is where I start to brake and lift. And I'm doing a little bit early. And I probably could have carried quite a bit more speed here, and obviously I take a shallower entry, but that was a nice safe entry. I could have probably chopped off another couple seconds there had I really focused on trying to get on a pit road real quick. Anyways, let's take a look at the tire wear after that 20 lap run. Similar to the Homestead video I just did, very even tire wear. That's pretty much ideal. Again, you're driving in too hard, you're going to wear out the right front, which is going to make the car tight. And if you're getting on the throttle a little bit too aggressively on exit and starting to get loose on the exit, you're going to burn up the right rear, and it's going to get worse as the run goes on. But that's the end of this video. If you got questions, let me know.